So one of the topics I don't discuss a lot because it's one of these things that almost everybody in spiritual community talks about it. So the things that I talk about tend to be more simplistic and straight to the point types of awarenesses about interacting with them because we've known them since for thousands of years. They're widely accepted across all religions and widely accepted by people, which is the key in my work, is in reducing fear of other beings. And most people don't fear angels. They have a very open heart towards angelic energies and beings, and it's one of those things that when they're waking up, the majority of people start calling on angels. They don't often call on gods and goddesses like Thor and Odin or other pagan beings, gods of the woods. That they'll call on the archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, etc., 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 down the list. The thing about angels is, even though I don't discuss them a lot from experience, I work with them every day. It's the same thing that I say about galactics. There are so many of them that the religions that we have kind of minimized the situation and only told certain stories. There are thousands, if not millions, of angels. A lot of the angels even cross over into mythology and folklore, and there's a lot to say that Archangel Michael is these different aspects of protection within mythology and pagan religions and they're just different names that people have used to equate. And so when a Christian calls on Archangel Michael, they look like an angel with a human with wings, with a pair of wings. Or with pagan religions and stuff, when somebody calls on say Thor or one of these other protective gods, they look more like that appearance. So depending on who you talk to, some people will say they're the same beings. I can't confirm 100% on some of that. I do believe Michael and Thor are aspects of each other, whether they're separate beings or one, or just like aspects of the same energy type of thing. But when it comes to angels, it's interesting because when you wake up, a lot of times we sit there and we think of only the biblical angels. This was a surprise to me because I didn't realize as time went on. I'm like, oh wait, the lore of Christianity and that is actually very minimal in the storytelling of these individuals. And there are thousands, if not millions of them. They are beings who have ascended to an angelic vibration, is the wording I would use. They have ascended to such a vibration that they hold an angelic vibration. So they could be galactics. They could be, they were probably, some of them were probably faeries in past lives, and over the course of millennia worked on their vibration, ascended, and raised their vibration to be high, to be angelic. So they are now angels. And then you have the choirs of angels, which I've learned the choirs of angels aren't even the full truth of it. It's, no, I don't, first of all, remember, I'm not a biblical scholar. I didn't go to church as a kid. The few times I did go, it was very uncomfortable. Like I needed to get out of the building. I did not feel comfortable in those spaces. I still don't like churches to this day. I think that it's because of the falseness around religion and a lot of the low vibrational energy of people who go into those spaces. So but the angels were always with me. I always saw them, and I started discovering that these classes of beings, what do you call them? Seraphim, cherubim is one, and I have some other ones that they've given me that aren't even listed in the Bible, that are different classifications. And Nephilim one, that might be one. But they're different classifications of how close to essentially source are they, how close to God are they, how powerful and angelic are they. But if you take like seraphim, there's actually classes underneath, because it's like if you're in 12th grade, not everybody in 12th grade in high school in the education system, not everybody in that group is at the same educational level, which is a perfect analogy for it, because that's how they didn't explain it to me that way, but they were like, we're all at different educational levels. So like seraphim are there, but seraphim have different things underneath them, so you can have different powers of seraphim, angels, and all these other aspects. And so you actually get angelics teaching angelics and helping them raise to ascend. I've had situations where Michael, I call on Michael and Michael pops in, and I've worked with him so much, he'll just be like, you don't need me right now, let me send so and so, and this other angel pops down, because they're learning and learning how to teach and how to interact more and do all these different things. So we end up working with all kinds of beings who are angelics in that label of angel. And that's a label. That's the thing I'm trying to teach people as I do my work, is that these are labels, which means the labels don't mean anything. The label is just a way for us to say it's equated to this being in our mythology. But if we push the label out, we can understand that when we talk about angelics, we're talking about vibrational spaces and what vibrational space is, because a lot of these beings, depending on what mythology you stick to, do not adhere to biblical lore, do not adhere to those different things. There's also this concept that people go, oh, fallen angels are evil. Actually, if you look into fairy lore, the Christian church came in, or Catholic church, whichever one it was at the time, came in, and when they were conquering the pagans, took over the fairy concepts and said, hey, we have a story about fallen angels. We're going to turn the fairies into fallen angels. And so now the fairies are evil because they are fallen angels, angels who fell from heaven down to earth. But really, if you think about that story from a vibrational standpoint, all that means is they dropped their vibration. They were at an angelic vibration. They fell from heaven. They were at an angelic vibration. They did something to drop their vibration and have to learn to ascend again. And there are plenty of stories in our fiction lore today where these angelic characters decide to interfere and help with humans. They interfere and help with humans because they're tired of watching them do bad things or something, but because it's against the nature of staying at that vibration, not interacting with things like free will or karma or whatever, their vibration ends up dropping and they have to reascend. So fallen angels aren't necessarily bad, which is why you have people like me who work with beings like Metatron is one. There are other fallen angels who have fallen, and in that story, telling from what they said, they're like, yeah, we did stuff at one time, we fell, our vibration dropped, and we had to rebuild it and go back up. And but it's not a being of evil. It just means your vibration fell. That type of thing with angels. So you'll run into that a lot, where you have an angel come who feels pure of heart, intentionally benevolent, all this beautiful, but then you'll hear the name, and a lot of people will hear the name, look up the lore, and be like, oh my God, it's a fallen angel. Keep in mind, fallen angels don't mean evil. Fallen angel means a drop in vibration. They fell from heaven. They fell from a heavenly vibration down to earth type of thing and had to rebuild. Many of them have done that. And then you're going to find a lot of angels that just don't have any lore around them because they're new. They were never experienced, or from the standpoint of our angelic lore, it was all controlled, so it was very specific about who was spoken about and that sort of thing. And so there's a lot of things as people wake that are going to shift with angelics, because they are just a vibrational space of beings. And one of the cool things is this idea that they're human, beautiful humans with a pair of wings. They will not always show themselves to people right away in their true forms. I call them their true forms now. Michael for me is one who comes, he has big, strong wings, beautiful human, masculine, blonde. I think, yeah, he shows up as a blonde, um, with a sword, like just uh, powerful warrior style look. Now, Gabriel is the same way when I see him a lot of times, only he's usually holding a battle axe and brown hair, and he's bigger. He's always bigger than Michael. Raphael, when I see him, these are just some of the archangels to give you an example. When I see Raphael, he's in like a toga robes, very um, soft, I guess, is the nature. When you see his image, is very soft and healing and that sort of thing. Then there are other angels. There are angels I work with who have thousands of eyes. I have one who presented and would keep his hood down. He had a hood, so you would see this very angelic being with these wings, and then you would see this hood and darkness here blocking out his face. And he wanted to make sure I wasn't going to be afraid. And when I was like, okay, this is an angel, this is who he is, I got comfortable with it. Then he revealed himself, and there's just thousands of eyes all over the place. There's another one I work with who presents two ways. She presents as a just blob of energy. A lot of them do. I've had smaller angels that are less powerful present as small balls of light and energy, and they come through the walls and they do their work, and they're like, we're an angel, and they go off. And then she is much larger. She's closer to this, not closer, she's in the choirs of like archangels and stuff, but she is an enormous bright gold and white light. And then when she presented in form, she's this enormous, powerful woman that reminds you of Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones, like super powerful, but with like 6-7 wings, or 8, like 6 to 8 wings. Probably 6 is what they're saying in my head, but enormous wings, enormous. She's huge. And I've seen other angels. I've seen clockwork gears when I do divine council transmissions. Some of them present as clockwork gears. Some of them present with multiple eyes. Some of them present as humans and other creatures, or as just balls of light. It all depends on what is more true to them. And your perception is part of that. If you are able to handle that they can be whatever they are, and their truth is a big thing. Because if they present to you and the only thing you can handle is a human form, then that's how they're going to present. They're going to show you a human form, or they're going to show you like a silhouette blocked out so that you can't see details. And it's one of these things that the more you reduce your fear, and accept that they can just show up however they want to show up and look, the more you'll see the truth of them. And so you get to see angels of all kinds that look like all these crazy things. Some of them I believe were described in the Bible. I don't remember. I've heard people say like some of the beings are described as like just eyeballs with wheels and stuff around them, and that. And I can say that's many of those that I've met. And it even goes farther. I've seen ones that look like animals, like octopuses with stuff floating around them, and it just gets crazy with some of their forms, because it's like not a bodily form that you can describe. It's much different than a bodily form you can describe. It's just saying like, oh, it's a human, it's a bear, it's an elephant. It's like, think of body parts, and then clockwork gears, and then balls of light and eyeballs floating around, and all this stuff in clouds of energy. They can present in a variety of different ways. So keep that in mind as you're on your journey. Angels do not adhere, like my experience with angels is that the traditional lore that people believe in of a human with a set of wings is not the actual full truth of the matter, in that there are far more angels than you can ever imagine. So if something comes to you and says it is an angel, it is of this class, you might be able to find the class online. like seraphim, cherubim, however you say those words. You might be able to find that online. You may be able to find a name, especially with the more well-known ones. But just because you can't find the name doesn't mean they're not an angelic. It means that you might be experiencing an angelic who is just not written about in our world. So keep that in mind. Thank you for watching this far. If you enjoyed these videos, please consider Spirit Art readings, Divine Council transmissions, or just sharing or commenting, liking, subscribe to the platform. Grateful for each and every one of you, and I love you all.